When it's complete, the Sea Road Tamar will be the largest ship designed and built in Australia since 1970. It is the biggest single project undertaken by Carrington Slipways. The ship is designed to carry vehicles and containers from Tasmania to Melbourne. With a capacity of 5,000 tonnes, the ship is expected to increase Australian National Line's Bass Strait trade by around 300%. Efficiency will also be increased and handling time reduced with all cargo rolled on and off the vessel. The 8,500-tonne ship will be manned by a small team of skilled men trained at the Australian Maritime College in Tasmania. The Sea Road Tamar will be completed by March next year. It will take the place of the Bass Trader, which was also built in Newcastle at the old State dockyard nearly 15 years ago. Jodie McKay for NBN News. It's been more than a month since the four men disappeared off the Queensland coast on a voyage to Noumea. The last sighting of them was on Friday, June the 8th, when an RAAF helicopter dropped 2 life rafts near their sinking yacht, the Rock and Robin. Just 3 days later, the National Sea Safety Centre in Canberra called off the search for the men. With the help of public donations, the families of Robert and Grant Wiltshire, Jeffrey Smith and Andrew Young have kept up their own private search. With resources near exhausted and the search area growing daily, the families today decided to search just one last time. Early Thursday, 2 planes will leave Rockhampton and search for 5 to 7 days. If nothing is found, then the families will return home. The families estimate they will have spent around $260,000 trying to find the men. They still believe they are alive, but as the days pass, the likelihood of finding them diminishes. Jodie McKay for NBN News.
Professor Melchers told the court why some Newcastle buildings crumbled while others escaped unscathed. Timber structures with adequate joints performed well, as did properly designed and constructed reinforced concrete. By contrast, brickwork did poorly. With the Workers' Club, most of the problems arose with the masonry, he said. Professor Melchers agreed with the conclusion of an engineering report by Rankin and Hill, stating that the western brick wall collapsed through the balcony and onto the floors below. That makes good sense, he said. I think that's the guts of it. But under cross-examination from counsel for the Workers' Club, Professor Melchers modified his support for the evidence given by his engineering colleagues. After viewing post-quake photographs of the club's balcony area, he agreed there were serious question marks on the assumptions used in the Rankin and Hill report. From engineers to rescue personnel, and day 2 in the stand for the commander of the police rescue squad. Under cross-examination, Sergeant Ron Gibson said the conduct of a rescue operation comes down to priorities. He said the need for speed must be balanced with the need for safety. On that note, also ambulance paramedic Stanley Harold said rescuers were trained not to put themselves in danger. He said it was almost unforgivable for rescuers to become the rescuees. Chief Inspector Ian Cleary was in command of the Workers' Club rescue operation the day the quake struck. He said it was imperative personnel be coordinated and directed. 5 dead were removed from the club on December 28, 2 more the next day and another 2 on December 31. Inspector Cleary said the slow removal was due to the difficulty and danger in locating and removing the victims. Again today, questioning from the bar table returned to inter-service tensions between fire and police personnel. But on this count, the coroner is standing firm. As he stressed from the outset, Mr Wallace said it would not be a subject for this inquest. I'm looking to the State Rescue and Emergency Services Board to sort these things out. It's too big a burden for me, he said. The earthquake inquest moves into its 8th day tomorrow, with more evidence expected from senior police. Leslie Robinson for NBN News.
Some would be reluctant to launch such an ambitious venture as a major housing development on Friday the 13th, but officers of the Greater Newcastle Land Development Company were brimming with confidence as they inspected progress of Stage 1 at Parkwood Village near Thornton this morning. 22 of the estate's 47 blocks have already sold, and 20 of the 39 at nearby Ashtonfield have also gone. The first bricks are expected to be laid by October. For the developer, it was the payoff for what had been a very big gamble. The Greater Newcastle Building Society broke new ground by taking on the development itself, shedding its image as just a financier.
We're offering land here from the low 30s and at Ashtonfield from the low 40s, and as well as that we're offering low start home loans where we will finance the land on these estates at a special rate.
Parkwood Village is expected to attract the first home buyer, Ashtonfield the second or third home buyer. In all, the development offers 550 blocks. They'll be developed in 6 stages, and already Bob Cairns, Greater Newcastle Operations Manager, is confident all stages will be needed, and soon.
I'm quite positive that we will see within a week that we will have to proceed to the next stage. I think that if we could possibly move this land to Sydney, we'd have sold it yesterday.
A curious twist to Black Friday for 2 Maitland car dealers. For them, it's Blue Friday. Young and Green and R.H. Taylor opened shop this morning to find most of their vehicles speckled with what appears to be a blue dye. Their first thought was vandalism, but police ruled this out when they realised the extent of the damage. More than 100 cars have been affected. Yesterday, these freshly painted signs were white. Today, the colour scheme was tinged with blue. Detailers have worked furiously to clean the cars, mostly with success. But the source of the blue substance remains a mystery.
Most definitely it's come from the air, yeah. It's centred around the two car yards. We've received a few drops on our police vehicles here at the station. It's very hard to say at the moment where it's come from.
Maitland Council's theory is that a truck has spilled a load of blue powder which has spread through the atmosphere with this morning's rain. Others blame a bottle of Indian ink found in a nearby drain. But investigating police say a low-flying aircraft may be the culprit.
Quite possibly it could have been an aircraft flying over the location, and he quite possibly could have dropped some kind of substance. Maybe it could have been in liquid form or in powder form, and eventually would have mixed with the rainwater up in the atmosphere and come down as the blue dye.
The mystery is now in the hands of the State Pollution Control Commission and Physical Evidence Police. It's hoped their tests will reveal why Young and Green's Black Friday turned blue. Leslie Robinson for NBN News.
James Bullock led the way early for the Falcons with some dazzling footwork. Herb McGeechan was a star for Canberra and rattled up easy points. Canberra led at the first change with superior teamwork. And the odd sensational dunk from Charlie Thomas. But Michael Johnson kept the Falcons in touch and they led at half-time. Chris Dill combined with Peter Hill to stretch the lead. But in the final term, Tad Duffelmeyer turned on the razzle-dazzle to put the Cannons in front. And with Duffelmeyer and Thomas working a move, it was all over.
Good play, Charlie Thomas on the end of a Tad Duffelmeyer pass.
Trevor Fing was flying at 100 metres when the engine of his gyrocopter failed without warning. In 15 short seconds, the craft was at ground level, landing on the grassy dunes at Redhead Beach. After its near-normal touchdown, one wheel dug into the sand and the gyrocopter rolled onto its side. The rotor blades were destroyed, but the pilot was uninjured.
I was never afraid of being hurt because it was just a normal glide approach as a normal landing.
Mr. Fing has been a pilot for 12 years. He also flies helicopters and fixed-wing craft, but said he still believes gyrocopters are the safest way to fly. His major concern was how to get the craft off the dune, and perhaps the $3,000 it will take to repair the damage. Alison Peters for NBN News. Controversy developed around the Workers' Club redevelopment several weeks ago when a local contractor alleged a more expensive tender for demolition work by a Sydney company was accepted over his local firm. He claimed his tender was cheaper by $61,000. The directors of the club decided it was time to inform members of what they say are the facts behind their plan of action.
There's been a media campaign conducted over the last couple of weeks on information they had that we believed wasn't accurate. We believed that the members were getting a wrong picture. We thought it entirely appropriate that we bring them in this morning to explain to them all the decisions that the board have taken in respect of the redevelopment of the club.
They defended the decision to engage the Sydney company and dismissed the accusations levelled against the club as unfounded.
We allocated the contract on the basis of consultation with our insurers. After all, they're the people who pay the bills. They were happy with it, we were happy with it, and as a consequence of today's meeting, our membership are happy.
The 250-strong meeting also heard about the progress of plans for the complex, which will replace the old buildings, and of the success of the club in its temporary premises at Wharf Road. A vote of confidence in the board of directors and the management of the club was then passed by the members.
Cessnock officials admit it's not quite the calibre of racing you'd see at Broadmeadow or Randwick. It's just pure and simple fun.
It started off virtually as a joke with the Jockey Club, and its big appeal is that it's a social day out in a good country atmosphere.
While it had all the trappings of the big meetings with high fashion and a few celebratory drinks, most of the punters admitted they were out of their depth. Even so, $500,000 was wagered on course, with most interest in the feature race, the Jungle Juice Cup.
Who do you think's going to win today?
I've really got no idea. I've got my bets on another punch.
I'll be able to pick the winner from that easy. It'll be definitely a horse though, and you can put me down for that. I'll be betting on a horse. That's what I'll be doing.
Indeed, it was a horse. As they came into the bend, Gary Harley's tip, Equal Night, took the lead. Equal Night took the money from Shining Sheriff. Penalty Box was third. The trifecta $631.80 and the Quinella $9.70.
overcome the problem.
Are you satisfied that there was no negligence involved in this effort?
Well, I can't say. This is what the coroner shouldn't say that, because it's not my place to influence the jury, perhaps, at a later common law. Well, certainly, because if it's true that there have been 100 earthquake incidents since 1950, and we didn't even have a seismograph here in Newcastle to monitor those things, so that's something to be addressed. Firstly, to make Newcastle higher in the zones of Newcastle liability. And
on the right. Excuse me, sir, any comments on Mr Waller's findings?
Oh, we're quite pleased with the findings. We believe that it's a very rational decision, and we're right behind what he said.
Was it worth the fire brigade going to the trouble you've gone through in these proceedings?
I want to make it clear that we didn't deliberately go to any trouble at all. It was something which occurred. I believe it's been handled in the correct way.
Do you think that rescue services now can work harmoniously?
I'd like to make it clear that they have worked harmoniously in the past. There's only this particular incident which has caused a hiccup.
Do you still hold any concerns about the way the police conducted their operations during the earthquake?
What we're doing is looking to the future, not the past.
For HSC students, starting out on a career after Year 12 can be a daunting prospect. The school's visit day is designed to make young people aware of their options at university and to answer questions about the courses available.
What they most want to know is career opportunities. That's a very big thing. Well, okay, if I get this degree, if I get this associate diploma, what can I do? What career opportunities are available? That would be the most important thing.
The day also gives students an idea of what it's like to be a university student.
They actually get a program set down with various talks throughout the day on all courses and on various discipline areas, and it's up to the student themselves to actually select their particular program. They set their own program as they would select their program in some of the courses at the university if they're actually studying here.
They're also given an opportunity to meet lecturers for a more personal introduction to a course. For many, the insight into university life is reassuring.
At school you don't really learn much about what you can do after school, it just sort of ends, and here it sort of gives you some guideline of what you can do.
I'm looking forward to it because you got more freedom than at school, but it's still frightening, yeah.
Ian Headley of Singleton will be driving this highly modified Ford Bronco with navigator Peter Shaw. It's known as the Beast, sporting a 351 Cleveland alloy V8 with suspension adapted from mining vehicles. It thunders and guzzles around the track at less than a kilometre per litre of aviation fuel. His wife Jan drives an F100, and between them they hold a fistful of national championship wins. Drivers in 9 categories race against the clock over 470 kilometres of mountainous tracks, creek crossings and winding forest roads, but the Headleys are always looking over their shoulders as well. Do you find yourself competing against one another in separate cars?
I guess we do. It's always a bit of a toss-up to see who's going to do the washing up when we get home, but we still run as a team.
Jan has got another reason for a win this weekend.
Yes, we have a baby due in February. Hopefully we'll bring it up to be a racer. This is my last race for the year, of course. 3 months pregnant now, so we won't try it out too much.
Graham Baxter, also of Singleton, will drive this road-registered Nissan Patrol. Competition between the 176 races will be fierce. A delay during a tyre change could mean the difference between winning or losing. The 10th running of the annual event gets underway outside Kempsey, with time trials on Saturday and racing on Sunday.
To have ratbags running around going way beyond the normal negative whinging act, which is bad enough, and to quite recklessly and irresponsibly create fear in the community is not on.
David Lamarchant looks an unlikely surf fan, but he's determined to see the Newcastle Surfest retain all its glory. The president of the Newcastle Chamber of Commerce will next week lobby local business in a bid to raise extra sponsorship needed to give the event a AAA rating.
We're keen to seek talks with the organising body early next week to try and work out ways that we can find the additional sponsorship of, I think, somewhere in the vicinity of $70,000, so that we can bring it back to a AAA rating.
In tough economic times, that sort of cash might be hard to come by, but the Chamber insists it will be money well spent.
It draws great numbers of people into the city, but more importantly, if it rates AAA, that we get national television, we get international television. Of course, that's taking Newcastle to the world. So we see this as being not only vital for surfing, but certainly to the economy of the region.
Organisers had feared the event would be cancelled completely. With BHP Melbourne refusing to support the contest, the local rod and bar division was forced to come up with close to $250,000 from its own coffers to fund even a AA event.
BHP Melbourne weren't putting money into it this year after 5 years of supporting it. That may have been appropriate because, it really needs to be a Newcastle event, and what we're looking for is additional Newcastle sponsors, and I believe that will be forthcoming.
The Association of Surfing Professionals has given organisers at least 2 months to come up with the additional sponsorship. Bruce Mackenzie, NBN News.
The money has been paid to business people affected by last December's earthquake in the Newcastle Central Business District and surrounding areas, including Hamilton. Some 428 applications have been received by the Rural Assistance Authority for either grants or low-interest loans. Of this, 80% received some form of government financial assistance, either in grants, loans or a combination of loans and grants. Another 10% of the applicants have been refused and the remaining 10% is still being processed. The maximum loan approved had been $80,000. Although it's nearly 7 months since the earthquake, the authority is still processing requests, particularly from business people from Hamilton, for financial help to overcome loss of trade because of the December disaster.